Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're stepping into, well, this really intricate, sort of smoke-filled Gothic world, the one built by Carlos Ruiz Zafón.
That's right.
Our source material pulls us deep into the Barcelona of the Shadow of the Wind. We're following this almost impossible mystery surrounding the novel's fictional author, Julián Carax.
And this really terrifying decades-long conspiracy, it's all aimed at basically erasing him, wiping him off the map completely.
Yeah, exactly.
So for this deep dive, we're kind of treating this fictional world as if it were real history,
Okay.
Our mission is to connect all these dense, layered facts we get from the sources, like who was Julián Carax, who were his enemies, and crucially, why did this one specific book, this wine-colored letter-bound book, why did it become the focus of this deadly hunt?
We need to get to the core of it. Why was just reading this book so dangerous? And the sources, they really set the stakes high right from the start, don't they? They talk about the novel's real-world impact. Stephen King, for instance, he didn't hold back at all.
No, he definitely didn't.
He said, if you thought the true Gothic novel died with the 19th century, this will change your mind. That's quite the statement.
It absolutely is. And that kind of endorsement really frames the whole conversation we're about to have. Critics were comparing Zafón to, well, it was like Gabriel Garcia Marquez meets Humberto Eco meets Jorge Luis Borges, which tells you this book is operating on, a lot of different literary levels at once.
Totally. But what's really fascinating, I think, is that even before we dig into the plot itself, the sources keep emphasizing the book as an object. Like it's almost sacred.
Yes.
It gets called an inspired homage to the book and a love letter to literature, which sort of implies this whole fight is metaphysical almost.
It does feel that way. The book isn't just a story, right? It's memory, it's history. And the central enigma of that memory is the author himself, Julián Carax.
Okay, so let's start there with this ghost author, Carax. Born in Barcelona, around 1900.
Roughly, yeah. But he ends up in Paris, working nights. He's a professional pianist in a hostess bar, believe it or not.
And his writing. What do we know about his early attempts? Were they any good?
Well, by all accounts, they were pretty spectacular failures.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His novel, The Red House, it sold only 77 copies, and apparently most of those were bought by the young ladies of easy virtue from the club where he played.
Okay.
He also wrote something called The Cathedral Thief. Basically, he seemed destined for total literary obscurity, except for this one really strange thing. Someone really, really wanted him erased. Completely gone.
And that brings us to Daniel Sempere, doesn't it? Our young protagonist. He finds Carax's novel, The Shadow of the Wind, in this incredible place, the Cemetery of Forgotten Books.
The CFB, yeah.
Daniel describes seeing that wine-colored leather binding and just knowing he'd found this boundless universe waiting to be discovered. It's such a powerful image.
And the CFB is absolutely key here. It's not just some dusty library, It's like a vault, an archive for collective memory, potentially dangerous memory.
Right.
And the really bizarre thing surrounding Carax is that every other copy of his work was being systematically hunted down and destroyed. Burned.
So he wasn't just obscure. Someone was actively making him disappear.
Exactly. It's the ultimate Gothic nightmare, isn't it? Having your entire existence scrubbed clean, wiped out.
Yeah.
And the rumors about his fate, they just fuel this erasure. Like maybe he was killed in a duel in Paris at Père Lachaise Cemetery. Or maybe he broke back in Barcelona, thrown into a common grave.
Terrible.
This deliberate literary annihilation, that's what really drives Daniel's investigation forward.
Okay, so Daniel, he's still just a boy, really, in mid-1940s Barcelona. He couldn't possibly navigate this labyrinth of secrets all by himself. He needs help.
He definitely goes.
And he finds some truly memorable characters to help him out, don't you think? Let's maybe talk about this supporting cast. They kind of turn this from just a search into this grand, literary, almost political adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. We should start with Gustavo Barcelo, the wealthy second-hand bookseller.
Ah, Barcelo. Yes, quite a character.
Oh, completely. A total dandy. Always described with an unlit pipe, claiming he's descended from Lord Byron, dressing in this sort of impeccable 19th century style.
Right. And he immediately sees that this Carax novel Daniel found is special, valuable, maybe even forbidden.
Instantly. And he offers Daniel a fortune for it, 40 duros, which is a huge amount back then.
That reaction alone tells Daniel this isn't just any old book.
Precisely. But Barcelo also introduces Daniel to his niece, Clara Barcelo.
Clara. She's blind, isn't she?
Yes, but she has this incredible memory, an elephantine memory, the text calls it. And she was deeply moved by one of Carax's early flops, The Red House.
Oh, the one that barely sold.
That's the one. She says Carax's writing gave her back the sight she had lost. Which is such a crucial emotional point, right? Literature isn't about profit for her, it's about survival, connection.
That's beautiful. But the real, I guess the muscle and the street smarts in Daniel's investigation come from someone else. The man Daniel first finds as a beggar.
Ah, Fermin Romero de Torres.
Yes. He becomes Daniel's absolutely indispensable bibliographic advisor. What a transformation.
And this is where the sources really start hinting at the deeper political danger lurking beneath the surface. Because Fermin wasn't just a beggar.
No.
No. Turns out he was a former high espionage agent, worked for President Messia back in the day.
Wait, really? Espionage?
Yes. So he goes from this starving man on the street to this, literary archaeologist who also happens to have deep state connections. It's a pretty spectacular transformation.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, how did he fall so far?
Exactly.
That whole transition from spy to literary advisor, it feels very key to understanding the mood of 1940s Barcelona, this place where political power and memory and secrets are all tangled up. It reminds me of that contrast Zafón sets up between creation and destruction. Like Daniel, as a kid, he dreams of writing masterpieces with this amazing pen à Mont Blanc Meisterstück.
The one supposedly owned by Victor Hugo.
Yes, that pen represents this sort of pure romantic literary idealism, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. But that idealism gets slammed right up against brutal reality almost immediately.
How so?
Well, if the pen is the dream of creation, the novel instantly introduces the nightmare of annihilation. The very books Daniel loves are literally being hunted down, burned, by this terrifying figure.
Right. That contrast makes the stakes feel incredibly personal very quickly.
Definitely.
So, who is orchestrating this annihilation? Who's the one burning the books? The sources initially give us this name, Laine Kubert.
Ah, yes, Laine Kubert. Described as a faceless cipher, someone who smells distinctly of burned paper.
And he's a character straight out of Julián Carax's own novels.
Which is a brilliant meta touch. But it's crucial, I think, for us listening to make this distinction clear. Laine Kubert is sort of the literary manifestation of the fear, the embodiment of the Gothic terror.
Okay, like a symbol.
Exactly. But the actual agent driving the destruction in the real world in 1940s Barcelona, that's Inspector Francisco Javier Fumero.
And he's not just some random police inspector, is he? There's history there. Deep personal history.
Oh, absolutely. It's all rooted in their shared childhood. Fumero was Javier, the son of the caretaker at the San Gabriel's school. He used to be nicknamed Ramon One Ball's son.
Ouch. And he grew up alongside Julián Carax and Carax's friend, Miquel Moliner.
Yes, and what's fascinating, or maybe disturbing, is how the novel suggests this literary obsession is completely inseparable from political corruption and personal vengeance, often fueled by class differences.
So Fumero, the caretaker's son, resented the wealthy, artistic Carax.
Deeply. The sources imply this long-held, deep-seated hatred, and that old-class resentment just festered and grew into this brutal, powerful inspector who becomes obsessed with wiping out Carax's legacy.
And we know just how malicious Fumero is because the sources confirm he was the one who tortured Fermin Romero de Torres.
That's right. The terrible scars covering Fermin's body that came from a soldering iron used by Fumero. It's this cruel, immediate symbol of the political malice Fumero represents.
Just brutal.
Yeah. So when Daniel finally confronts Fumero, the inspector basically confirms it all. He whispers, "Burn them." And then he reveals his face.
Which is described as
a mask of black scarred skin consumed by fire. In that moment, the fiction of Laine Kubert and the reality of Inspector Fumero just completely merge. It's horrifying.
And this conspiracy, this web, it reaches pretty high up, doesn't it? It goes beyond just Carax. Look at the tragedy of Núria Montfort.
Miquel Moliner's wife, yeah. Her story is heartbreaking and shows how deep the corruption runs.
She worked for the publisher, Cabestany, and she confessed to Daniel that she was the one who hid the last copy of The Shadow of the Wind, put it in the cemetery of forgotten books to save it.
And what happens to her? She's murdered.
Right. And the official story, the news reports, they pin her death on some mentally ill escapee. A convenient scapegoat.
But Daniel realizes Fumero is behind it. Her death proves that anyone connected to Carax, even someone just trying to preserve his work, is a target for the inspector's vengeance.
It shows how ruthless Fumero is and how far he'll go.
Absolutely. No loose ends.
So we have to trace this obsession back. What's the root cause? It all seems to lead back to the Aldaya mansion on Avenida del Tibidabo. What was the secret buried there? The thing that fueled Fumero's lifelong hatred?
Well, the horrific truth discovered there is that Julian's lover, Penelope Aldaya, died way back in 1919.
Okay.
And she was buried in a secret crypt beneath the mansion, along with her son. Their son.
Oh my God. So Fumero's desire to destroy Carax.
Ugh.
It stemmed from this really old tragedy.
It seems so. Whether it was jealousy or some kind of twisted sense of moral outrage or just pure hatred tied to that event. That old, dark secret seems to be the engine for the inspector's entire vendetta.
This is where the novel just goes full-on mythic gothic, isn't it? The final confrontation.
It really does. Julián Carax himself, now scarred, almost literally embodying Lane Kubert, the man without a face, finally confronts Fumero at the Aldaya mansion.
And Fumero's death is... well, it's incredibly dramatic.
Oh, perfectly so. The sources describe Fumero being thrown into this frozen fountain outside the mansion. He's impaled, killed by the stone hand of an angel statue sticking out of the ice.
Wow.
It's this moment of literal dark destiny, you know? The statue's accusing finger, sharp as a dagger, finally gets the accursed soul. It's pure Gothic theater.
After all that chaos, though, after the death and the violence, we do get these moments of tenderness.
Yeah.
Resolution, especially for Daniel.
Yes, his recovery. He was badly injured.
And he recovers thanks to blood transfusions from Fermin, right? Who apparently spent days stuffing himself with meat sandwiches.
Yes. To breed more red blood corpuscles. It's wonderful.
It really is.
It just shows Fermin's character perfectly, doesn't it? Bridging that gap between high espionage, comic relief, and just life-saving friendship. Amazing.
So while Daniel's recovering, Julián Carax appears. The author himself having found some kind of closure.
He does. He comes to Daniel's bedside, and he retrieves that cherished pen, the Victor Hugo Mont Blanc.
The pen representing creation.
Exactly. And he leaves Daniel with this kind of mandate, to live for him.
So by taking the pen, Carax is effectively leaving the world of writing behind, passing the torch.
That's how it feels. He's passing that responsibility, that potential, to the next generation. To Daniel.
And the story's legacy, it carries on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Beautifully in the epilogue.
It does. Years later, Daniel Sempere names his own son Julian.
A touching tribute.
And he takes young Julian to the cemetery of forgotten books, ensuring the story, the mystery, the love for those forgotten books. It all continues. The shadow might have claimed the past generation, but the act of preservation, of remembering, goes on.
So when we look back at this whole deep dive, what does it really reveal about the source material? It feels like The Shadow of the Wind is less about just one book.
Oh, much less.
And far more about the really corrosive power of secrets, of memory, of these forgotten identities, especially during such a chaotic time in Barcelona's history.
Absolutely. Every major character seems defined by that struggle, right?
Yeah.
Are they fighting to remember Carax or fighting to make sure he's completely forgotten?
And that cycle of secrets and creation, it doesn't actually end for Daniel Sempere either.
Does it? No, it doesn't. Our sources mention that years later, Daniel gets this parcel from Paris. Inside is a new book, The Angel of Mist, by someone named Boris Laurent.
Okay.
But it's dedicated to Daniel and his wife, Bee. And Daniel knew, instantly. He knew who really wrote it.
When I guess.
It was Julián Carax, finally writing again under a new name, having successfully escaped his past, it seems.
Wow. Which leaves us with a pretty interesting question, doesn't it? For you, listening, to think about, based on everything we've unpacked here, if a writer like Carax can truly change their name, can escape their past like that, what does that suggest about our own collective memory? Our history?
What parts of our own stories, maybe our own painful truths, are we actively trying to burn, trying to forget?
And maybe, what truths are we choosing to hide away in the deepest crypts of our own minds? Just waiting, perhaps, for the next generation to stumble upon them and bring them back into the light.
Something to ponder, definitely. The next time you open a book and wonder where its true story really begins.